Greater Heights Financial Solutions, we are an accounting and tax firm that has been in operation for over 9 years. We are a team of accounting and tax professionals, and we do everything for your business, from bookkeeping to management accounts, financial statements, payroll, secretarial, and we are tax specialists. Whatever issue you may have with SARS, we are there to assist you. We also do secretarial services, so whether you want to register a new business, we service mostly SMMEs as well as established businesses. Think of us as your outsourced finance team, registered with SEBA as well as SIDE. Keep your business and your personal finances separate. SARS, their mandate is to collect, and they will do that. Make sure that you register for pay-as-you-earn and deduct the pay-as-you-earn from people's salaries and pay it over to SARS.
Greetings. Welcome to our podcast where we'll be talking about the importance of fundraising for organizations. Now, this video has been compiled for those organizations that want to have a method of how is it that they can be able to fundraise, whatever type of organization that you have, whether it's registered or not. But usually we have organizations that are usually registered so that they can comply with all compliances of the law. What is very interesting is that when you raise funds for an organization, it is the duty and responsibility of the committee or executive of the organization. Particularly, the person who must be in charge of raising funds must be the treasurer. He or she is assigned with the task of raising funds and controlling funds that are coming to the organization. Of course, in some instances, you have the chairperson and deputy chairperson and secretaries being the one writing letters, doing presentations, but the treasurer or the finance officer is the one who is going to coordinate and make sure that they manage all the funds that are within the organization. Now, how is it that you raise funds? What type of fundraising method can you have? Usually in the past, people used to host events where they would have tickets that are sold at the door or tickets sold at CompuTicket. There would be Entrepreneur Day where people would actually contribute money, organizations contribute money, then they're able to buy stock and then they sell it out to the people that are coming and make a profit. Those are traditional methods. But I'm also going to talk about professional business methods where you write proposals. I'll be teaching you how to write a proposal, structure by structure, so that you can be able to raise funds. And one thing that you must understand when you're raising funds is that sponsors would want to know why is it that your organization is important to receive that type of funding or financial assistance? What contribution is it going to make in the community or impact in the community? And how is it that you're going to execute the funds that are given to you? That will give them the right word to use, synopsis or idea of how much or how many months or contractual sponsorship contract there between you and the sponsors are going to have. So it needs to be addressed very clearly and very beautifully. Now, we've got different types of platforms for sponsorship. We've got gold sponsors, we've got platinum sponsors, we've got bronze sponsors, and we've got silver. Okay? We can even play with the colors and say yellow, green, blue, black, white, depending on whichever colors that you may have. Because at the end of the day, an organization needs money so that it can be able to run. The organization must have a logo. A logo of the organization to distinguish it from other organizations. Number two, it must have an address, a business premises address where the business is operating. Number three, it must have a bank account that is viable and active. That bank account must be linked to a particular cell phone number for notifications, can be cell phone number of the person or of the organization. And then number three, perhaps you can have an app. In some organizations, they have apps where they're able to monitor who is what and what who does is not able to take what, which is very much beautiful. And it is key and very much important that you also need to know where is it that the funds are going to be channeled from. And I'll also be teaching you and giving you some advice on how is it that you should manage the funds. Now let's dive into detail. When you receive lump sum of funds, it's important that you need to, as the finance officer, distinguish between operating costs and investment costs. You understand? Operating costs are your day-to-day running, where you have to pay rent, where you have petty cash available, where you have to pay salaries. Understand? Those are your operating costs, electricity and utilities, etc. Right? And then you have cash that you put aside for investment for rainy days. You put it in, we call it the mutual fund. There are some insurance companies in South Africa, your Old Mutual, your Metropolitan African Bank. You approach in one of them and check their investment portfolios. And I believe the best one, the one that I prefer usually is the Old Mutual and the African Bank, because the Old Mutual one, you get to pay a debit order of approximately 450 every month, and then they debit it for 5 years, and you're about to receive, depending on the market value, approximately the one that I had personally, I used to pay 450. I received plus minus 600,000, after 5 years. And you've got the option to actually withdraw per year a certain percentage of money. Usually they give 2.5, but I wouldn't prefer that you withdraw. Just leave the money for 5 years, then you know that you take that lump sum. And then once you get maybe something like 400,000, for example, you can take 100,000, invest it for another 5 years, and then you utilize whatever that is that's on your table. And then with the African Bank one, which is very much beautiful, that I prefer, is the fact that you receive interest. In other words, you get to spend the interest that are allocated to you. Say, for example, you have an investment of 5 million for 5 years, and then they structure a interest plan for you, so you get to receive monthly dividends of interest every selected date of the month for a specific period of 5 years. Say, for example, I've invested a million, which means, depending on interest rate, they might give me a monthly provider plan of 15,000 for 5 years. So it's something, So the organization is able to survive, and then with the lump sum of 5 million, then you got the option to actually, you understand, renew and or not renew. So you have different types of options to renew and not to renew. So, how is it that you get to write a sponsorship proposal? That is very much important, which I'm going to break down to you. Remember, sponsors are motivated by what is it that they can receive in return. The mistake that a lot of institutions are doing is that they want people to fund them. But what is it that the sponsors are getting in return? Because sponsors want to know that when they give you money, what is it that they get in return? It's important that we need to give sponsors an idea that whenever they donate, whether as a gold sponsor, platinum sponsor, bronze, or silver, their logo is going to be embodied in our promotion material. Say, for example, we're looking for sponsorship, it's a soccer team, for example. We want t-shirts of the organization. So we're going to have the logo for, let's say, company X here, with our logo here, company B. And then hats, everything embroidered, our logo together with that one of X. And then gazebos, everything. High promotion material, where the logos of both institutions are going to be embodied, which is something that is very important. And then also, you also give them an opportunity to be featured in your program. Say, for example, it's a gold sponsor. They've taken over the event, they're sponsored with money, they're sponsored with whatever that you need. And then whenever you're hosting events, then they get a platform to come and showcase themselves. Maybe give them 30 minutes to present, You give them VIP access during the event, VIP treatment, buffet service. Like you give them that privilege. You treat them like a VIP. In fact, you need to treat them as VIPs because they are your VIPs on that particular event. And they get to actually get to advertise themselves. Say, for example, you have a newsletter, and then upon that newsletter, their logo is actually embroidered that okay, proudly sponsored by. And then if you make adverts, whatever that you do, the water, anything must be branded with the emblem of the particular sponsors. So I'll be breaking it down to you. How is it that the template on which you're going to use to write for sponsorship? Now, when you write to sponsors, it's important that you have to write a sponsorship proposal. And in that proposal, you state what is it that you want the sponsors to assist you with. And then you attach your company profile, registration certificate, banking details, and then you also write a sponsorship package, like the template display that if you want a sponsor, say for example it's a bronze package, maybe you say 200,000, what are the benefits? If it's silver, what are the benefits? Gold, what are the, depending on the amount of money that you prefer the sponsors to pledge with. And when you state all the benefits inside, it is much easier because now sponsors get also to engage with the audience that is going to be at that particular function or event. And this also gives them promotion because now if perhaps there's a media that is involved, then they also get free coverages. And then if there's a newsletter that you have, then they also get to be showcased for free. And the finances of the organization must be managed very well by the treasurer as per ethos in terms of the operation cost or the proposed budget. And the treasurer must not make a mistake to exceed the budget, but must be within the budget that is allocated. Because when audited statements are going to go to the sponsor, sponsors would want to know how is it that you spend your money. And if they find that you're reckless, then automatically you might lose sponsorship. So grab use of the opportunity that you have so that you don't find yourself being frustrated. Remember that the issue of fundraising requires creativity and to be smart. So you can have approximately 50 or 100 sponsors. The main goal is that there must be profit in the organization account, which is going to assist you to have a financial forecast. Because the more sponsors you have, the more financial injection you have, the more the sustainability of the business or organization gets to be. And also, the good part is that you're able to even plan further other than the financial forecast. Say, for example, you have sponsors and you have a prediction that they're going to be with you for the next 5 or 10 years. And then with the investments that you also have in place, which means your business can exceed 10 years and go to 30 years because there is sustainability. And you can also state your businesses or list it on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. All details as to how is it that you list your company, you have to log on to their website and they'll be giving you detail as to detail so that your company can be listed on the JSE. So that will actually give it another further 5 years or another tenor of a decade of years so the business can be viable. So organizations must understand that professional adequate is important at all levels. The service excellence that you give the people in your organization is the one that is going to make people to be able to like your business, comment good on the business, recommend your business. And if the service is poor, if the premises is dirty, if the marketing is not attractive, nothing is it that is attracting the people to come to your organization, then automatically you must just forget about getting any sponsors or any finances. And also please make sure that the signatories who are going to sign, they don't embezzle funds, they are not selfish, and that they're going to make sure that the organization's mission and vision and values is done as per ethos, because sponsors are going to be monitoring anything. Also make sure that you don't find yourself in trouble with the law or trending in any form of way. So especially for those with social media accounts, don't be found drinking beer, doing fornication or unnecessary stuff, because if sponsors spot that, then automatically they pull their sponsorship and you're going to be left in distress. We have had organizations that we had to pull out our funding from because they were not being cooperative and they were unprofessional. You need to separate between personal finances and finances of the business. You don't have to mix business with pleasure. And you must also comply with SARS requirements and make sure that SARS gets their money. For those who are going to pay as you earn, SARS must be given their money. Debit orders must never bounce, they must be met in time. everything, all operation costs, salaries paid in time, bonuses, everything must go according to as per contract agreement. And it's also important that you need to be smart in terms of how you can also generate more income prior to sponsorship. Perhaps the business can have properties that is renting that is affiliated to the organ. Some of you can also become micro loan finance with the relevant accreditations. So there is something that is generating income for the organization. um, yeah, which is something that we usually prescribe, that you don't only look through fundraising or sponsorships, but have something that is injecting income, shares, or something, a building, as I've stated. And that is something that is going to make the organization to be profound and the organization to grow further and further. And then when you engage with the community, when they see publicity stunts going on, they see advertisements, they see a lot of things, anything that is marketing related or publicity orientated, then it makes the sponsors to be happy, and sponsors will continue to fund you more and more. But have a backup plan that when the sponsors pull out due to economic measures or whatever, then at least you know that you can be able to sustain yourself and everybody's happy. You don't have to find yourself having to retrench people like all these companies that people have worked for 40 years. You find that somebody's given 1,500,000. They don't have a vision of how to spend the funds. Within 6 months, the whole money is finished. They can't even pinpoint that I was able to maybe do a tombstone for a family member or build a house or build properties to rent out. So financial education is very much important. Also, make sure that you speak to your bankers and financial brokers so that they can be able to advise you in terms of managing of funds, because that is key and very much important. Monthly financial statements or finance meetings with the portfolio members to show printing of bank statements as to how much money has been spent, what are the causes of expenditure, what is it that is fruitful for the expenditure, what is a wasteful expenditure, so that the finance officer can have a vision and a focus and cut costs where necessary. Eh? And then the issue of petty cash must also be managed very well, because not every Tom, Dick, and Harry is supposed to access petty cash. There must be a petty cash register where every cent that is taken is recorded, where any cash that comes in is also recorded, so that we know that in certain days, whoever is doing banking is able to put all the receipts in a financial file, which they're going to produce or submit at the financial meeting for accountability. Now, it's important that we need to understand that all the strategies that we've given you, you need to apply them. However, there are four secrets of success for any organization to be successful. Number one, you need to have a dream. What is your dream? You've started the organization, you have a dream of what is it that you want to see it achieving, how is it that it should impact lives in the society or globally, provincially, however. So that is your dream. So that's secret number one. Number two, venture into the unknown. Now that you have a dream, you venture into the unknown, which means you have to tap into the idea that you have, hence, you venture into the unknown. Get to see what kind of requirements it's going to require, the type of stuff it's going to need, the type of premises, how to operate, the operating model, everything must be put together. So that is venture into the unknown. Number three, put it practical. You have a dream, you ventured into the unknown. Number three, you put it practical. This is where you get to do as per ethos according to the type of business model or organization. And the last secret is have focus. So focus is very much important, because if you don't have focus, you find yourself tapping, 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 tapping. You're not having any focus. It's important that you need to be focused. I'm going to add another video clip of another Shaolin monk who speaks about having focus than to tap into different methods, because that is something that frustrates and makes other businesses not to be successful. You need to be focused, and that is very much key important. So let's listen to this video clip.
They force, they worry, and they exhaust themselves trying to control every outcome. Yet the more tightly they hold on, the more life seems to slip through their fingers. Today's message is not about becoming passive, it is about becoming aligned. When the mind relaxes, that you have been avoiding. And until you become that person, you will keep calling your own delay bad luck. Most people will never get what they want in life, not because it is impossible, but because they keep chasing results with the same weak habits, the same confused mind, and the same undisciplined self. The moment you change that, life begins to open in ways you never imagined. Most people stay hungry their entire lives, not because life denied them, but because they never learned how to stand in front of life correctly. They wish, they hope, they complain, they compare, they wait for timing, they wait for support, they wait for confidence, they wait for some invisible permission to finally become the person they keep talking about. And while they are waiting, life keeps moving. Opportunities keep moving. Strong people keep moving. Discipline keeps moving. Time keeps moving. So the tragedy is not that people cannot get what they want. The tragedy is that most people spend their energy wanting without becoming the kind of person who can hold what they want. There is a difference, a deep difference, a dangerous difference, because desire alone feels powerful, but without inner transformation, desire becomes torture. You dream of peace, but your mind is chaos. You dream of success, but your habits are weak. You dream of respect, but you do not respect your own word. You dream of love, but you abandon yourself the moment you feel lonely.